All right, good night, everyone, and welcome to the launch of Tips for Behavior Change with Geraldine Garwood. And I know that you must be wondering what is this YouTube channel all about, and that's why we're here tonight to actually talk about this, to explore what this YouTube channel is about and who Geraldine is about as well. Who she is and what she's about and why she started or have the idea for this program. Good evening, Miss Garwood. I think I can call you Geraldine now. I think I'm safe to say
Ah,
that.
yes, you're safe to say, Geraldine. Good evening.
Wonderful. Um, just to let our listeners know that Miss Garwood is a clinical psychologist and a behavior specialist, and I'm humble and honored to say that I'm a student or past student from of Miss Garwood's class. She taught me grief counseling and social psychology, and to an extent, substance abuse. And so I know her well in a professional manner and also in a church setting as well, right? She's an
Yes,
evangelist in the
yes.
Lord's church and well trained in psychology. Miss Garwood, when we're talking about tips for behavior change, by the way, before you even get into that, how are you?
I am good enough. I am good, thank God. I can't complain. God has
I,
been good to me, and I have no complaints. I give him thanks.
and I hope that you're coping well within this COVID-19 pandemic that's happening.
Yes, I am. As a matter of fact, as I tell persons that the COVID-19 has not really manipulated me. I
Hmm.
think I have said before that I'm not focused on it. I
Yeah.
am concerned about what is happening to other
Hmm.
nations and even our very own country, but I'm not going to let it overwhelm me, you
Yes.
know. So I carry on with my day-to-day activities, just being
Hmm.
cautious and following the Ministry of Health guidelines. And that is what I think all of us should be doing.
That is true. So let's get into the meat of the matter why we are doing this, because just let listeners know that the YouTube channel, they can go to it immediately after we've completed this launch. You'll be
Right,
uploading the necessary videos that persons can watch to learn from.
right.
Now, tips for behavior change, what it's an acronym. What does it stand for?
All right, TIPS stand for Training Intervention Programs for Behavior Change. To change behavior, you need to have interventions in place.
Hmm.
And I think that is lacking in a lot of setting, in the home setting, in the school setting, and overall, as a culture, we need some training in how we help persons to become functional for society. And so that is why the name TIPS. Actually, I was thinking about a name. I knew that I had to launch something in behavior modification. But
Uh-huh.
as I thought through the name, I was standing in my bathroom and I said, Lord, I need a name. And then
Hmm.
I heard tips. And then I said, tips? All right, I like tips. So I was going to go straight with tips. And then I got another encounter, that to allow let tips be an acronym.
Yeah,
Therefore, the training intervention programs for behavior change.
for behavior change.
Right.
And when we go to the channel to watch the videos, who are the target audience?
All right.
Who are we targeting?
The target audience are educators, because you know that I have spent the past 5 to 6 years consulting for the Ministry of Education and
Yes.
training over 6,000 educators in the positive behavior intervention support system framework. And so
Hmm.
the target audience is educators, also parents, persons who work with children, but also persons who are substance dependent and persons who are grieving. So the target audience is wide. So there is something for everybody, for special needs, persons with intellectual disabilities, especially the autism population, because you know that I am trained for that as well. And
Yes.
so the population is wide, the audience is wide. So the channel is geared to meet a variety of persons who need help to cope and to function in society.
Mm-hmm. So, so in these tips for behavior change, when you're going to share, what exactly is it that you're going to share? How persons can handle certain stressors in life? What are we looking forward to when we go to the YouTube channel?
When we go to the YouTube channel, we are going to be getting tips. So we are going to be getting different interventions that we can use in the homes, different strategies to
Mm-hmm.
use in the schools, different we're going to get also because a variety of persons will be a part of the channel to share. So we're going to even have persons who are literacy specialists to give tips to parents at home in the COVID-19 who is homeschooling their children and may
Yes.
not have knowledge on how to help their children at home because they may not um, understand the work because a different level of work now that our children are doing. So we
Yeah.
have tips of persons like those. So they will get different strategies. They are going to get tools in their hands. So they will use these tools so as to help the persons to become functional. Whether it be a child or an adult with special needs, or a typical developing person who may just be going through a stressful situation during this time.
Yes. You know, I need to come to you for guidance, because it so happened that the Ministry of Education Region 1 called me along with a few other guidance counselors to create some lesson outlines with coping strategies and mechanisms on how persons can try their best to cope within COVID and get adjusted to the new environment.
Yes,
And I need to call you. I need to consult you.
for a fee.
I need to consult you. I wrote a few and sent it off, but I
Yes,
need to
yes,
come to
yes,
you. You're going to be covering a myriad of things on your YouTube channel that I believe are really important. People don't understand, especially in Jamaica, and I think we spoke about this some time ago. If not you,
yes.
I know I would have spoken to other psychologists about this. That in Jamaica, we don't have the wide array of trained specialists to deal with certain special needs, and autistic persons, and Jamaica on a whole as a country, and I can be corrected for this, but Jamaicans on a whole don't really know how to deal with special needs and person with autism. You know, we tend to demonize a few, and we tend to say, boy, them just need prayer and look at olive oil and stuff. So your channel will be able to help to inform persons on how they can handle persons with special needs, how they can deal with persons with autism, how they can help persons with intellectual disabilities. But what are some of the tips like for that? And I would have been
Well,
encountered. Go ahead.
some of the procedures that you'll have to use to help students with autism or children with autism, you have to have shaping procedures,
Mm-hmm.
training procedures. So you have to teach also task analysis. So you break down the task in teachable units for them. So you have different procedures that you're going to have to use. You have to know how to calm them, calming techniques, because you know you have the high functioning autism, you have the low
Yes.
functioning autism. So all those techniques will be shared. As I said, persons will have the tools in their hands. So they will get all those techniques to use to help this
Mm-hmm.
population. Because I believe that this is a population that is also left behind somehow. And there are
Yeah.
many institutions that are providing training, but I don't think that they are doing, some of them are doing the correct thing with the students. These are
Mm-hmm.
not children that you should use corporal punishment with. And you will find that in some of the institutions that are working with this populace, corporal punishment is also used with them.
Yeah.
Remember that these they are what you call auto locked in their own world.
Mm-hmm.
So they are not understanding exactly our world. And so we need to deal with them in their world. And in order for us to go into their world, we have to understand the techniques to use to get into their world. And so we
Interesting.
find that a lot of persons do not really have the techniques. There are many persons who say that they are behavior specialists, um, and so, but they are not trained in the area. Yes, you can also read things and utilize to be creative in your classroom environment,
Yes.
but you also need a professional standpoint to give you the necessary tools you need in order to help these persons. I want to say kudos to all of those who are working with this population. You have some good setting where the students are getting the right affirmations, right technique,
Yes.
and so, but you still have some where persons are going to need assistance
Hmm.
to enhance the programs that they are offering for this populace.
And so coming on to the channel will also help teachers and guidance counselors as well, and parents to grasp new techniques so that
And
they can
also,
implement it.
and also another set of people, Eraldo, because what you find now is that the Ministry of Education also has what they call shadows. So if you are a
Yes,
parent and you have a child who is diagnosed with autism, you can also get a shadow from the ministry. You go there, they will send the person, they pay the shadow. But what you find, these shadows are also not trained because a
that's
shadow
true.
can be a grandmother, an aunt, or
A
so, not
friend.
somebody who a friend who can just go to the school with the child to ensure that the child remains seated in class and try to
Hmm.
function. But they may not have the necessary skills to do that. And so also this channel is for those persons who are shadows. They can also log on to learn the relevant skills to work with this populace as well.
Wonderful. There are so many things that the program is going to look at that I know for a fact that I'm going to tune into. One of them is grief management.
Oh
No.
wow.
Now I'll share something with you, Miss Garwood. I was saying to Denisha, I hope you remember Denisha.
I do, I
Um,
do.
I was saying to Denisha that since I left JTS in 2016, I have done more grief counseling in my entire counseling life that I have the
Yes,
short time than
yes,
any form of counseling.
yes.
And since I've been working in Kingston in terms of the primary school, between last year and this year, I've been to myriads of different schools because of incidents that happen and would have to do grief counseling. Now, when you talk about grief counseling and grief management and how people grieving people and how to help them, what tips, what are we going to be looking at? Because some people don't know how to grieve.
That is so true. You know, I have a knack for grief. It is
Yes,
my niche. One of the subjects I love to engage students in. And so some of the things that is important for grief management is to know the different types of grief. And I
mm-hmm,
don't think persons know them. We have a myriad of different types of grief. We have chronic grief, complicated grief, absent grief, anticipatory grief, unanticipatory grief, resolved grief. We have all different types of grief. And so for you to really help persons the right way, you have to know the type of grief that the person is actually experiencing. But
yes,
also you need to know the stages of grief that they are at. And so you have different theories that give us different stages. Like everybody know the famous Kubler-Ross that
yes,
that present the 5 stages of grief. But you also have Engels stages of grief, Freud stage of grief, Park stages of grief. And so you have a myriad different types of theories. And I think that persons will know how to work. And Geraldo, we will continue to be dealing with grief because I believe we are a grieving world. Grief
yes,
is necessary now. That training is necessary now in this COVID-19. So many people are grieving, and we're going to have a lot of persons displaying complicated grief and chronic
grief,
grief.
yes,
Why? Because having lost a family member and only probably 8 persons or 9 persons at the pastor can be at the funeral. That is really a traumatic thing or a difficult thing to deal with for somebody who have a loss. But worse is having lost a family member and can't go to the funeral, having
yes,
somebody in the hospital and can't go to visit. So when you look at a worldwide spread, I mean, this channel is not aiming for local, but for international. So it is going to be a lot of persons will be viewing all over the world. And so as you look at grief, grief is a worldwide thing. This pandemic is causing a lot of grief. There are so many persons who are grieving
yes,
now. But grief is not only having a loss or a death. You can grieve even being quarantined.
yes,
A number of students are grieving the fact that they're not at school, they can't see their friends, and it's affecting them, right? But somebody may that will be classified as disenfranchised grief. But somebody may say, what you're grieving about? You should be glad you're
You
not in
should be glad
school.
you right. You should be glad
Right.
you're
So
home.
this is a grief. This is a grief type of grief that society doesn't really expect or support. That people
Yes.
not support. Why is he grieving that he's not in school? When this is really classified as disenfranchised grief, when society don't expect you to grieve, based on whatever you're grieving about. So
Mm-hmm.
grief is really, really one of the things that one of my passion as well, and I'm going to give it my all in this channel so persons can really learn how to deal with persons who are grieving.
Interesting, and I know for a fact that persons will take the necessary information and implement it. It was today I was at work and I was talking on air. We were talking about rituals, and I was saying that people grieve differently, and for some of them, a part of their grieving process, you might think what they're doing is crazy, but it's just how
Yes,
they are
yes,
grieving,
yes.
and what they do might not fall into your worldview, but for them it eases the
The
pain.
pain, yes.
So everyone grieve
And so
differently.
even for the church,
Hmm.
I always can't leave out the church. I think the church overall need to have an understanding of the grief process as well, because
Yes.
we know the church tend to spiritualize grief. And
Yes.
so and we are not practical where grieving is concerned. And so we always use the scripture as a scapegoat, I believe, to say that do not grieve as one without hope. I mean, and things, and God knows best, and we use certain cliches that the griever may not be ready to hear at that particular time,
Yeah.
and nothing's wrong with that. So we need to be practical so we can help persons. So even for the church, they need to understand how also to help persons who are grieving as well.
Interesting. So we're covering everybody when it comes to grief management, and just to let the listeners know that these are not just all the topics, but these are just some of the
Some
topics.
of the topics, yes, grief
Like
is
like
so wide, 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 wide.
like one thing I know you're gonna touch on is substance dependence,
Yes.
and
Another of one of my favorite subject to teach as well. And it ties well with my discipline of applied behavior analysis, because ABA have training programs, intervention programs for persons who are dependent on substance.
yes,
And we know the main type of substance, um, alcohol, marijuana, nicotine, and tobacco. But also, we are having an increase in inhalants usage among our teens in schools, and also prescription drugs is on the rise. A number of
mm-hmm,
persons, early adults, middle adults, are dependent on prescription drugs. And so we are at a crisis where that is concerned. Many persons can't go to bed without a sleeping pill,
true,
things like that, becoming dependent on that. Many persons, can't go to bed without having a drink so they can fall asleep, you know. And I always integrate the word in it where the Bible says you should go to your bed and lie down and have peaceful sleep. You don't need
yes,
to pop a pill in your mouth. So there are a lot of persons who are dependent on substances. And so that also there are a lot of tips for that. How do you deal with your substance dependency? And we know that Jamaica, and I have always, my students said to me that I should become an advocate for that. And I've heard that each time I teach the course, because we do not really have a lot of centers or resources to deal with substance
that's
dependence.
true.
And I don't think that as a country we take substance dependence seriously, right? And so because of that, many persons are being neglected. Because especially alcohol, it is not illegal, it is used in the social arena.
Ah,
And so persons generally, each time somebody, very rarely you hear on the news that this person has been in an accident because they were drinking. You mostly hear speeding, right?
true.
Because sometimes the technology is not there to do the breathalyzers and to test. So most time it we're speeding, and as a result of the accident caused from being under the influence of alcohol. You
I
understand?
was just going to touch on that, Miss Garrow, to say that alcohol is not really seen as something big in Jamaica, as a crime or a problem, as illegal, because even in this COVID-19 thing, persons were fighting, for lack of a better word, for the bars to be open.
Yes, yes.
and so we see where we have a group of persons who are literally dependent upon alcohol and going to the bar, and it's a mean for them, it's a means of escape of whatever problem they may have at home and stuff, and so they abuse these things. So we'll be touching all about that.
Yeah, we will be looking at alcohol because one of the things that we understand, if you have been following the news and it is worldwide too, um, domestic violence is on the rise as a result of this quarantine. People are recognizing that they don't really love their spouse, they didn't love them, they didn't really have a relationship, they were just
Yeah.
living together. Now that you're forced to be in a space under quarantine experience, you're realizing that, look here, I didn't really have a marriage or not. I didn't have a relationship with this person. What you find is that most of these men, women also, but mostly men, as a research show, they use the bar as a medium of escape. So they are
Yes.
not able to go to the bar to relieve themselves, and they are stuck with this woman who may be what they call nagging. And so, in light of that, you have the domestic violence. But
Mm-hmm.
also, the use of alcohol can cause domestic violence because you also have that where the men will go out and drink just to come in to meet the wives or the
Yeah.
significant other. So again, alcohol is something that we should take seriously. And there are a lot of men who are dependent, women also, but you find as a substance that most men are dependent on. And they use it as a way to relieve their stresses for relationship or also money problems or any other stressful events that they are going through at this time. So we need to look a little bit on the whole issue of substance. But my main concern with substance, even though alcohol, is really prescription drugs. Um, and a number of students, university students, college students, are dependent on these prescription drugs. And so they will misuse them,
Yes.
so it can become fatal at some point. So we are not paying attention to some of those things. And so I want persons to also be aware. So I'm going to bring an awareness to the issue of substance dependency and the dangers that it poses to family life, to society, and the world at large.
Wonderful. Miss Garwood, so we're gonna touch a lot on certain things, and I said we because I don't know if I should, get a little interview. but life stresses and all of that, we are gonna we're gonna explore all of that and give tips on how persons can manage, how persons can cope. But probably the viewers are saying, why should I listen to Geraldine? Who is she? Does she have any authority in on the topic to talk to us? So this is where I jump a little bit out of what the YouTube channel is all about and talk about you, talk about what you're trained in, so that persons can know that you didn't just get up overnight
All
with your
right.
knowledge.
And that is so true because people will wonder who is this lady, where is she from? So a little
Yes.
bit about myself. My undergrad is in theology and counseling. So I love theology. And you indicated earlier that I am an evangelist and I love to preach the gospel. I have a passion to do so as well. But I know that I had to integrate my faith with my work. And so I studied theology at the Jamaica Theological Seminary. I am also a trained social worker, and I did social work at the University of the West Indies Social Welfare Training Center. And so I spent a lot of time working in that era professionally.
Nice.
So I've worked with gangs in the inner city,
Yes.
in the
Your
street
thing that's in a
town. And that's my thing, you know that already. I love inner city people. I have worked with notorious gangs. I have done behavior programs with them. So I have worked on projects that look at that. I've worked with children at risk, students at risk, and all of that. So at the social work arena. And then I moved on to the Chicago School of Professional Psychology, where I was looking for something a little bit different from counseling. Because
yeah.
I recognize that counseling in and of itself doesn't work when you have too much talk therapy. So I know that behavior change is very critical for counseling to be effective. And so I went to the Chicago School of Professional Psychology and I did a master's in clinical psychology, applied behavior analysis specialization. So I'm a trained clinical psychologist and behavior specialist as well. And so with that training, I can work with everybody. So I am
Hmm.
trained to work with children with autism, children with special needs, typically developing children, children with emotional and behavioral disorders. And I am also trained at the clinical level to work with persons with depression, bipolar, um, any other personality disorder that persons may be experiencing. Presently, I am studying adult education, and this is taking me in my doctoral studies. So I am doing adult education with Yorkville University in Canada. And that's where my studies is at this time. And so when I complete that process, then at some point I will have an EDD, Doctor of Education. That's where I'm going. I'm moving towards that.
Yes.
Somebody may ask why. Because I'm in academia. I love academia, and so and I love consulting, and I have been doing that for the Ministry of Education. So I saw it fit to enter that arena as well, and so that is about me professionally. And so
Yes.
I have a wealth of experience. I am the program manager of the Bachelor's of Arts degree in Applied Behavior Analysis at the Jamaica Theological Seminary. I actually created that degree program, and I am the program manager at this time. And so we have had two sets of graduates. That degree is accredited by the University Council of Jamaica. And so we are also extending invitation for persons to apply to that degree program at the Jamaica Theological Seminary for the upcoming semester as well. And so that is where my training is as well. And so I believe that I come with a wealth of knowledge and experience to
Yes.
provide tips for persons and to help them to become functional for society. That's a little bit about
Wonderful. I did not know you were a social worker.
yes. Most
So,
persons didn't know that. Most persons didn't know that. Um, But I spend a lot of my time in social work, and I really love social work. I like community work. I love social work. At one point in my life, Eraldo, I really wanted to go into the political arena
hmm,
because I thought I would do well there too.
I think so.
Yes, but then, having reflected, I said, Lord, let me stay in the arena that I'm in and not
Yes.
enter there, in full. But if I need to give guidance, I will provide guidance. You understand? And that is where I am right now.
And everything works together. Everything
I believe
intermingles
so.
and work well.
I believe so. I believe so.
So you are trained, you are experienced, and you have the wealth of knowledge that you want to give to the world, not just Jamaica, but the
Yes,
world at large.
yes.
Now, in our wrapping up, how can when should we look out for videos on your YouTube channel? When should we look out for
Well,
these
videos
tips?
will come on a weekly basis. So every week, a video will be released on different tips. But I would like my viewers tonight, as they watch, to say what they want me to start off with first. I have an idea of where I want to go first, but as
Hmm.
they give their ideas, I will also make note of that so I can say, all right, somebody may need to hear these tips in these areas, tips in that areas. And as persons begin to subscribe and make sure their notations, then I will know where to go. But
Yeah.
next week a video will be released next week. Every week we'll have a video uploaded so that persons can get the different tips that they need.
And so
Um
persons can send you an email, can they?
Yes, you
Or
can
go
send me
to
an
your
email. The email address is Geraldine Garwood 2012 at yahoo.com. And so they can
Mhm.
send an email to that email address. Presently, I'm also offering online therapy, and that is going good so far. I have a couple of persons who have responded. The first 10 persons will be free. And so I am doing that, and I have a number of persons who have responded. And I've been doing that so far, and I'm enjoying doing that because also the quarantine have allowed me to really reflect and see
Yes.
that there are things that need to be done, and so we need to get going to get these things done. So I wouldn't let the COVID-19 deter the plans of God for my life. I believe
Wonderful.
it is a good plan, and I believe the timing is right. And so I am working with God's plan. And so coming soon will also be my website, the launch of my website. And so I may be back here with you to launch that website where people can go there and make their bookings and all of
Yes.
that to get me to do various engagements for them. And so I just want to thank God for this time. I'm excited about it. I really am proud of myself that I have reached this mark. I have set
Yes.
a goal for myself and I have reached the goal and I'm proud of myself and I couldn't have done it without the help of God. And that is why I have to remain in the theological realm and not the
Yes.
political realm.
Yes.
Because to God be the glory, great things He has done.
And just to say for viewers that Miss Garwood is not just a YouTuber, no, but she has been working with the Ministry of Education, as she said before. She has been featured on radio. I've
Yes,
had multiple interviews with Miss Garwood, and on Jamaica, I have to brand it, and I said Jamaica's number one because we still
yes,
remain number one
number one,
gospel
love the
station.
fair.
It, and it's always good to talk psychology and to
Yes,
talk about the mind with you because, as I said before, you have a wealth of knowledge. And I have to say this publicly as we wrap, that I am honored to know you, honored to be taught, to have been taught by you. You
thank you
know,
very much.
boy,
And
I
I'm
hear you.
extremely proud of you. You have made me proud. I said, oh my God, this is my student. No
Yes,
one can take that away from me, Geraldo. I like that. I boast that. And I really want to thank also Davian Borland, another student of mine who have given me great support. He did the flyers, he did all the logos, all of that, So I want to thank God because nothing happens by chance. He send
yes.
the right persons in your life to really give you support. And I thank you and I thank Davian as well and the many other students who are rooting for Miss Garwood. I really give thanks to God for all of you. So I am very proud to say that you are my student, you're doing well and you're going to go very far. And I will say,
Thank
yes,
you.
that's my student.
I say, yes, that's my teacher.
Yes.
um, Denise Davis says that you must start off with tips for parents with children who have delayed adjustment to homeschooling.
Yes, that's a good one.
It's a good one.
If the
Um,
children have delayed adjustment to
to
homeschooling, yes.
homeschooling, and
Yes.
I know every minute I'm very Pentecostal because it's that the third time I'm gonna say it's in our rap. But my brothers are home, and while my 10-year-old brother adjusts well, my 6-year-old brother took him a while
Of
to
course.
adjust to
Yes.
learning at home. And we realized that he would do the work best in the evening hours. So we had
Yes.
to talk with the teacher and say, Miss, you'll have the work, but during the daytime, his mind is all over the place. But he
Yes.
sits and settles and
Yes.
does the work great in the evening hours.
Yes.
So boy, I know some people will definitely be blessed by that tip that you'll be giving them for
Yes.
students
Yes.
adjusting to the home learning.
Yes.
All right, Ms.
I
Gar,
agree.
what's your final word in wrapping? And remind listeners again the YouTube channel they can go to, how they can contact you, and booking information if they want you to do the online counseling with them.
My contact information again is my email address for now, Geraldine Garwood 2012 at yahoo.com. And so you can send an email and any information you need, you will get a response within minutes after I've read the email, you will get your response. I want to also thank my family. Yes, I have to do that.
Yes,
My sisters, I really want to thank them. My nieces, I want to thank them as well. I want to thank, my relatives, friends, cousins, all those who support, and I want to thank God for my mother, um, who continues to pray for me. She really is a good mother. Um, Today I told her she's the best in the world, and everybody is
yes,
talking about their mother, but she's a praying mother, and she continues to pray for me. And nothing beats a mother's prayer. And my final word is that I crave your support, and that you will subscribe to the channel, but also that you will put into practice what you would have learned from these tips. And I ask of all of us to keep safe, to follow the Ministry of Health guidelines and so that we can get through this virus as quickly as possible. And do not be daunted. I can't end without leaving a word to tell you
Yes.
that God is in control. Could not leave out the theological aspect of me. God is in control and God is still on the throne. Thank you
Amen.
very much and subscribe to my channel. God
Thank
bless.
you so very much. Blessings to you, Miss Garwood. And I
Thank you,
know
Lord.
that I'll be subscribing because I want all the necessary tips I can get and use, especially as a guidance counselor in the education system.
Thank you
All the
so much.
very best, Miss
Thanks.
Garwood. Geraldine Garwood, counseling psychologist and behavior specialist. You need to subscribe to Tips for Behavior Change with Geraldine Garwood on YouTube so that you can learn how to cope and deal with certain issues that you may be facing. Enough love and blessings to you.